Want to learn to write about tough topics with confidence? Then this is the episode for you. Hi, my name is author Tonya Duncan Ellis, and I'm the host of Write This, my author interview show. And today I am excited to welcome author Lakita Wilson to talk about her newest release, Sparkle, a fun middle grade book that covers alopecia, a topic that is difficult for some, but she does it expertly. And she also has all kinds of fun drama in her other middle grade that I read a while back. So I'm excited to have her on to learn about her process and all that she has coming out for us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oops, something fell. We're live. Something fell from my desk over there. But I'm happy to have her on. I'm going to invite her, and I want to thank you guys for joining me here today too. So let's see if she's come on. Get her on here. One of her books, Be Real Macy Weaver, a while back, and it was so fun. It had all this drama. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Fine. I'm happy to have you. I had my desk, some things falling from it as I was talking. So I'm like, I hope I get her on here. But I'm so happy. Thank you for coming to my show. I'm so happy to have you on.
Oh, sure. This is fun. I feel like this is like my first time doing an Instagram live, so I'm just
Okay, because
seeing
I
how it all
see
works.
you as like an expert because I love following your TikToks. I've seen those. They're so funny.
Only, only on TikTok.
Yeah, you have. If you don't follow her on TikTok, she has all kinds of great content and it's so fun and entertaining and you learn a lot. So be sure to follow her over there. But I loved your new book, Sparkle, and
Thank
I love the
you.
topic too. It's so cool to see that representation of the alopecia. I have one of my daughter's friends' mother suffered from alopecia, but she embraced it and she is just drop dead gorgeous. So
Wonderful.
yeah, it's so wonderful to see this shown for people to learn from of all ages. So thank you for being.
Yeah. I I grew up with like my best friend was diagnosed with alopecia in high school. And like I was kind of there for like that whole ride, but I did not know how much he actually went through until like I went back like to sort of, ask him, okay, like how did it feel having alopecia as a kid? And he's like, oh, let me tell you, like let's sit
Right,
down and let me break everything down. And I was like, okay, that, it was a lot. Like
right.
I have alopecia, but it's spotty. So like a lot along my hairline, and then there's like some like, well, a big patch like in the back. But
Oh,
as a woman, it's easy to like cover it up with wigs and like, and my alopecia, like my hair grows back. But and it happened to me as an adult, which I think is a little different, than when it happens as a kid. So just getting that perspective, I was like, oh, I have to like
yeah.
write a book. Yeah.
Right. This was wonderful. And I love all the drama. That's why I wanted to talk with you about drama because even with Macy Weaver, I wanted to just hurt her mother. I'm telling you, that woman made me so mad. So you draw forth a lot of emotion in your writing.
I um I like to credit that with my mom was like a stay-at-home mom, and every day around like I want to say 11, The Young and the Restless would come on, and it was like slaps and like all, it was total drama. So it probably has a little bit to do with that, like The Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless.
Yeah, my mother watches that. She was, when the pandemic hit, that was her main concern, that her stories weren't
How
on.
am I gonna get my stories?
I know, yes. Okay, well, yeah, I really love the drama and how you keep that tension going throughout your stories because it keeps me turning the pages. I'm kind of mad at some of the characters, but I love how you do that with your writing.
really happy to hear you say that because you know, like when you're in the writing process, sometimes you get to the middle and you're like, is this gonna keep anybody's attention? Like, is this enough? And I know, like for me, to um to really get me to the end of the book, I have to have like those page turning moments. And I'm always like writing myself, like, is this interesting enough? Are people going to turn the page? So I really appreciate you saying that because I'm in the middle of drafting something right now, and I think the middle is a little boring. So
Right.
hopefully it'll get there.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like studying that because I'm working on a novel now, and I'm kind of looking at that to keep the plot going and keep things
Is
going. And I see how you're doing that. Yeah.
is it middle grade, YA,
It's
adult?
it's middle grade, but it's in verse. Or I tried
Oh,
to write, and I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Because now I wrote out of order, and so then you don't have the
oh,
storyline because the verses kind of came to me
yeah.
for different things, and I kept writing like, yeah, I'm getting this because you can't just straight write the prose. You've got to have the verse. And I said, why did I do this to myself?
'Cause now you're like you need those like connecting pieces, right?
Right. Right, of the plot to keep things going. So the way you do that is and I noticed even since I've just read two of your books, I haven't read your
Yeah.
YA, it both of them have me just like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen as I'm reading through?
That makes me so happy. And at the same time, I really, really admire the fact that you can write in verse. Like, I tried it, and trust me, it is a technique. Like, first of all, you have to be like deep and poetic, and I'm like, ooh, like you know, like I wish, like like I have those feelings, but like I don't know how to get it like down on paper. But also I felt like when I tried to write in verse, it was more like, oh, I'm just writing short sentences. But this isn't verse. So
Right.
I
So it is
know
not.
it's like a
Yeah.
technique to
And
that.
really what it is I've been writing picture books, and I was in a picture book challenge for a year, 2 year, past 2 years. So
Yeah.
it makes you think more in poetic ways. Because I was struggling, I got invited into a middle grade critique group. And I'm like, I don't know, I can't
Hmm.
write. I'm just writing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And then when I started doing the verse, it's more similar to the picture book, the way
I can
you're
see that.
writing.
I can see that
Hmm.
because you have to show so much emotion. You have to move that plot forward with,
Hmm.
you know, a set amount of words because I mean we
Hmm.
can't have a whole page of prose. So it's
Right.
like to make room for those vibrant illustrations, you know, you're gonna have to really say what you mean in this like really impactful way. And I can see how that translates to
Right.
verse.
So I was like, okay, I'm doing it. Because I didn't think I could do it, but
Yeah.
somehow that allowed me to do it. But anyway, yeah, so it's been great talking with you. Now tell us a little bit about how you got started as an author. What's your writing journey?
Okay. Well, I am a reader. Like I prefer reading and books to anything, to like socialize. Like I can get lost in a book for hours, for days. Like I won't like I won't be able to sleep if I you know, if I'm like really at a place in the book where I have to know what happens next. And so, because that was like my first love, I always like wanted to write, like even as a kid, like with the Young and the Restless playing in the background, I'm like writing my own dramas. But like, I never thought that it was possible. Like I didn't know any authors. Like I never knew that that was a career. It was always like, oh, you know, a teacher is a career, which is what
Hmm.
I became, but I just didn't know. And one day I was like trying to get my friend, like she had a degree in English and was like a creative writer. And I was like, ooh, write the book. I'll give you the idea and you write, which is like the cliche thing you're not supposed to do. And she's like, ah. And so um she had a lot going on, and she was like taking a while, and so I was like, all right, I'll just get her started. I'll like, like try to write something. And it was so bad. It was like, hi, my name is such and such, I'm 10 years old. It was like the cliche
Mhm.
first attempt.
Mhm.
um but what happened with me was like, somehow I knew that I needed like a following. So I was like, I got really involved with Bookstagram.
Mhm.
And I was like a Bookstagrammer first, because I was like, if I ever become an author, I have to have a following.
Huh?
And the way this ends up is terrible, because once I really went to school and like started writing, I abandoned the Bookstagram page. So like that
Um,
page has a good amount of followers. Like it has no engagement. I've been trying to like resuscitate it. It will not. So I don't know. But anyway, so on that page, an editor reached out to me, but my writing was like terrible. So like I do thank the editor for like even, like putting herself out there, but um what I gave her, I know now was just, I mean, horrible. So I didn't know how to write, and I was like, I didn't know anything about critique groups. I knew nothing. I literally was just like a reader trying to be a writer, which is great, but in my head I was like, I need somebody to teach me how to write. And so I was like, I'm going back to school. And so I went and got an MFA, and it did a really good job of like, I was able to like work with really great writers like as my mentors. But the other thing that it taught me was like um building writer
Mhm.
friends, being having critique groups, having people that you could talk to, because like publishing is really hard, and you're gonna need people to like, be like, oh, when is my book gonna sell, or like when am I gonna get an agent, and like you need those people to be there for you. But I never would have understood that if I just sort of like went at this alone. So I feel like I went to school and learned to write better, and I built community at the same time. And I was not supposed to be querying agents while I was in school. Every advisor was like, do not do that, like you have to concentrate on like learning the craft. And I was like, I'm broke, like like,
Mhm.
please. So I was querying, and at the time I was graduating, which was like in COVID, we were deep in COVID.
Mm.
I think that's how that happened. Or like right before we went into COVID, I got the agent who I love, and in the middle of COVID, my first book sold, and
Oh,
I love
that's
my editor. So
yay. That is wonderful. So that, and then that gave you time and space to be writing and all of that.
it was I know, like there were so many bad things that like happened during COVID, but I can say that like the best thing for me, it was the perfect time to just be quiet. I was allowed to just be in the house, and I used that
Mhm.
time. Like on those like TikTok videos, it really appears like, oh, like I could be an extrovert, but I am really an introvert. Like if you put me, like I have like a little battery in my back that like goes out after like 45 minutes, and like I'm like, yay, and then boom, like nothing. I want to go to bed. So I really enjoyed being in the house during COVID. I actually continued that. I rarely leave the house now, but like I just had space. I had space to draft, to revise. It just felt quiet. I was just with my family.
Mhm.
Um, it was just a good time for me.
Right. Well, that sounds amazing. And it seems like everything kind of aligned at the right time
It
as you
did.
were going.
I did not think so at the time, because I had been querying for like 3 years.
Hmm.
And I was like, when is someone gonna pick me? Like, like when you
Right.
I was definitely a pick me for age. I was like, somebody scoop me up, please. Like no, like it was so bad. because I really I was so close so many times. And I remember like saying to my family like I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And then like your family like they don't understand because they're like
Right.
maybe one day it'll happen. But in the like I look back when I look back on those times, I'm like, I needed 3 years of pain. Like I needed 3 years of that rejection to teach me how to be rejected when I got into public. Because now when you get in, you're rejected 100 like 10 times, that
Mhm.
amount. So, it helped me because like the first 10 times I got rejected, I would like cry.
Ah,
And then like the first 50 times, I was like sit on the couch and look at the wall, but I wouldn't cry. I would look at the wall. By that like 100th time, I was like, all right, okay. Now I'm gonna like,
right.
I'm gonna revise and keep going. And so now, like, I feel like my team probably does not agree, but like I feel like I handle rejection much better.
Right. And
I still get a little
like you
sad.
said, people think once you get an agent, yeah, you got it, babe, but you still keep getting rejections
I was
even after that.
I was just talking to my friend about that yesterday because like we we like had lunch at her house and we're like sitting there and we're like, man, we thought we had it made when we got the agent because like we went to school together and we were like, remember that? Like we thought, okay, we're like going to Hollywood now, and it's like it's just like it's not like that. It's like it's just it's a thing where you're constantly like trying, and sometimes somebody connects with your writing, and then like you go back to the drawing, and even when they like it, they're gonna find so many things that like you need to revise and improve with that writing. And it's really just this like cycle of I'm creating, some stuff isn't going to work, some will work. And just learning how to like put things away, I guess, if it's not working right now, and trying something new.
Right. Right. And that's a great description of what happens in the publishing industry because I think people may not understand that it's kind of just really a cycle, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's ups and downs.
Yeah.
And then really when you see the highlight reels on social media, people are announcing their book deals. You don't know how many rejections they got in between that or
I
what was going on.
I say it all the time. Like I I literally, so I will say that like I I get so sad on my, which it should be a joyous occasion, but I get so sad on my release day. Like I'm super happy while I'm drafting and like like I'm going through the production of the book and things like that, but I get really sad because like then it all sort of like feels out of my control at that. It's like you've built yourself up for like release day, and like now it's here and you're like, okay, like what do I do now? And so I always feel like a little lost until I can like dive into that next publishing project. But if you look online, I'm like dancing around on TikTok and like, oh, it's release day. But like as soon as I get off the camera, I'm like, oh, somebody give me Doritos. Like I feel a little sad. Like, I just um it's become a ritual at this point. I'm like, okay, it's lead up to publishing, and then I get a little sad, and then I get super excited about the another project, and I
And
literally
it's
happy again.
probably you've been with that book so long and done
Mhm.
so much with it, and then you're kind of letting go of all the work with it. You still have to keep promoting it, I guess, but
Yeah, yeah, you do, you do. So I mean, I don't know why I get like that, but it almost feels like when you have a baby, like when I had my children, it's like they were with me. They were with me inside of me, which is like how like the book is, right? Like it's like with you and you're always working on it. And it's like once they come out into the world, it's like you're not holding them inside of you anymore. Like they could fall and skin their knee. Like they could,
Hmm.
like the older they get, the
Yeah.
further out from you they go. So maybe that's what that little sad feeling is. But um it's hard for me. Like I can't believe I'm not still like revising Sparkle anymore.
I'm
I'm
so
like, that's
sick
over
of well, that's good. You're like that revision. Like with my critique
with?
group, I'll get mad. Somebody will tell me something. I'm like, and then I know they're right. And I'm like, doggone it, I've got to go back and do more work on this, even though I know I need to do it.
So, do you prefer the drafting to the revision? Because I love to revise. I do not like to
I
draft. Which one do you like?
I like drafting, but I kind of tinker too much, and then I keep changing and doing this and doing that. Plus, since I'm writing this in verse, what I'm working on now, but
Mhm.
even with picture books, getting the just the right word, and it's fun to me. It's kind of like working a puzzle. But
Yeah.
then it's kind of I want to be done. I want this book sold, is what it is with this one I'm working on. Yeah,
Yeah. But it's just like a puzzle, right?
yeah.
That was my like growing up, one of my favorite hobbies was jigsaw puzzles. Like I still have them like all around my house. And the skills that you learn sifting through and sticking in the right pieces, it actually holds up when you're trying to
Right,
like, you know,
right,
get that book just right. It's like, okay, what's missing? How can I merge this together? Which is,
right. And
yeah,
it feels so good when you do get it just right and you
it
just feel
does.
good. Yeah. So yeah. I just for me, I think I'm working on it. I have been doing picture books, like I said.
Yeah.
So it still takes a lot longer than people would think to complete a picture book manuscript. But
Mhm.
the novel still is
It's a lot of
taking
pages.
longer.
Yeah.
Right. And rearranging and putting all this together is kind of frustrating at
I
times.
was I was in this I was I was in this like rut like in the beginning when I was like trying to write middle grade where like I could not get over a certain amount of words. And then I realized it was because it was like all dialogue, no emotion.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I would be like, why can't I get over 20,000 words? Like I need to get to like 35 or something, you know, something like that. And it was because I still needed to learn how to like beef up my writing. But
Right.
I sometimes like maybe that's what scares me about drafting so much is like how am I ever going to get to like 30,000, 40,000, 50? Like how am I ever going to get that?
Now, do you do plotting with your work or do you?
Yes, and it never ends up. So I write out this whole outline, like whole outline, and I'm like, this is how the story's gonna go. Then I draft, and it's like nothing like what the
Right.
outline said. And then I like turn it into someone, and they're like, okay, but like, what if you do this? And they give me like this one idea, but then it like collapses the book, and then I have to do a whole. So I actually do several outlines as I go along.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I really feel like you get a richness of the characters with the tween characters in Sparkle, just showing. I like the dynamics between her and her sister and their interactions with the mom. Again, you get these moms. Even this mom, she was working my nerves at parts.
And I love my mother. You know what? I was like, I have to stop writing bad moms because my mom is gonna be like, okay, now we're about to fight. Like because to me, it's just like more interesting when the parents are flawed because like it makes the character struggle more.
Right.
But that is like the number one complaint. Like you're not supposed to read your reviews, but I personally like it. I don't know what my problem is, but I do like reading the reviews
Mhm.
because like I just want to know what people think. And and that is like the complaint. They're like, moms are not like this. What is this is someone was like, this is the worst mom in middle grade history. I was like, ooh, did I do did I
Now,
do
one thing with Be Real Macy Weaver, though, what I did like about it, it seemed like she was a modern day mom. Like when you look at narcissism and things like that,
Hmm.
it kind of showed what could be happening with these moms with the way our society is to
Well,
me.
someone had said to me one time, they were like, "Oh, well, this is like not realistic." But I used to teach in public schools, and that mom came from a real person. Like
Mhm.
I have seen so many things where people are able to present very well. Like they'll come to the parent conferences and their voice is like, "Oh, and we do homework every night." But like like what the real story is. And um I had one parent over, how old is my son? Like almost 20 years ago, where the mom was just nothing like what she presented.
Mhm.
And that particular student um had a lot of, she wanted a lot of attention, and I could see why, because like the mom would just like go to Vegas, and I taught elementary school, and she was kind of, the kid was like fending for herself, and then she would come to parent conferences and be like, "And we do and I'm like, "You're a good actress." But it's just like I like to explore those kinds of flaws where like you don't necessarily see, like if you look at a person, you might go, "Oh, they would never do that," but they would. And so it was fun for me to write. I mean, like people were like, "Hey, that was a terrible character," like I didn't like that, but it was it was fun to explore that for me.
Right, right. It was, it kept it interesting, I tell you that. Now, can you tell us about any upcoming projects and books that people can look out for?
I am so excited. Okay. So the thing is, okay, so I have two middle grades. So there's like Be Real Macy Weaver and there's Sparkle. And then I have Last Chance Dance, which is the YA, but there's a second book attached like to that YA. And I just turned in my second draft of that, but I'm so like, this book is so close to my heart because someone purchased a, like they bought a book that is about my county. Like I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland. We are a huge we are a huge county. Um we were, for the longest time, the richest Black county in America. Charles County took the title, but maybe we'll get it back one day. But the thing about that county, about this county that I live in and I love, is that um it's such it's such a diverse group of Black people. So like for me, I grew like I've lived in this rich Black county my entire life, but I lived in the poor set. I lived in the poorest section. Okay. So like I wanted to explore social economic disparities, and like what does it mean when you push us all together. The kids from Bowie who have like all the money, and then the kids from C Pleasant who may not have as much money, but they all go to this one school, and like how do they interact. And I wanted to like look at what happens when you grew up in the poor neighborhood, and like maybe you went to school and you got a little money, and then you moved to the rich area of this county. What is your responsibility to like where you grew up? Like, do you just move on to the rich area and like, yeah, I'm living it up now? Or like, like, or do you give back? Like, how do you do that? So like where I'm from, there's a basketball player, Kevin Durant. We grew up down the street, like literally one street over. And so I kept like, I have so much love for like every time he speaks about my city, because I understand how hard it was like growing up in that city. And I just I just want to put more eyes on how special this county is. Like even whichever city go to, I just feel like there is no place in this country like Prince George's County, Maryland. And I was like, I have to write about it.
Right.
Um, so it doesn't even have a title, but it's happening. Like it's coming out summer of 20, what year are we in? It's 2025. So.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And what is Last Chance Dance about? Is that the name?
So Last Chance Dance is a rom-com. It is about a girl who is super in love and she goes through high school dating this guy, the perfect guy. All 4 years of high school, they have no problems. And then like 3 weeks before high school, she gets dumped.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Oh, take me back. I
Mhm.
need you." You know, she's like, "Please."
Mhm.
And and she basically in the last 3 weeks of high school goes on like all these whirlwind dates trying to like get that like love feeling
Ooh,
back. And I don't want to give
that
out
sounds
the
different.
ending, but it's
Mhm.
like she really wants her ex, but
Mhm.
it's like now she's going on all these
That
dates.
sounds
Um
fun. Yeah, let me read that. I like YA and I like romance, like sweet romance and different romance. So that sounds like a nice little light read after I read something crazy to
yeah,
calm my
it's like
nerves.
it's literally just it was me just like trying my hand at romance, but like throwing in dashes of comedy. So like, yeah, if you want like a little giggle, it's it's available.
Okay, that's good. Now, where can people find you? I've really enjoyed our talk. This has been just fun. I'm happy to get to sit down with you and talk to you because I love all the things that you've been doing that
Thank
I've been
you.
seeing online. So I'm so happy again. Thank you for coming. And how can people buy your books and support you?
So wherever books are sold, you can purchase Be Real Macy Weaver, Sparkle, Last Chance Dance. But I truly, truly love libraries. If you can go to your library and check out the book, I would really appreciate it, or even request it. I would love that too. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yay. And what about online? How can they connect with you online?
Um, Instagram, like Lakita writes or Lakita reads if it ever revives itself. Um, and on TikTok at Lakita Wilson. And I've kind of given up on the artist formerly known as Twitter, but I'm on
Right.
Threads. So, but I
Okay.
don't honestly TikTok or Instagram.
Right.
Yeah.
And there her TikTok is a lot of fun and also she gives valuable information for authors too when you read or watch the videos. So well thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you Lakita for coming and taking this time and best of luck to you. And everybody will see you again for another episode of Write This. Bye bye.